My name's Rudy Comeaux. I'm here to talk about my personal negotiation. The parties involved were myself with Lemoyne as a subcontractor, Charlie and Daniel with Mortensen as the general contractor, and Colin Osborne, who was with the Cumming Group, which is a program manager and extension of the client. Our package on the project that I'm talking about is a construction project. We were performing wet utilities construction for Mortensen. The goals that I had for the negotiation was ultimately alignment on pricing and incorporating new labor and equipment rates, and I held informational and resource control powers. Charlie and Daniel had similar goals, ultimately to provide substantial backup in response to the owner and program manager, questions on pricing, and then ultimately incorporating that into our current agreement. Charlie had relationship and positional powers. Daniel had informational and personal powers. Colin, again, Mortensen handled this relationship. Colin wanted to make sure the pricing was fair and reasonable, and he questioned technical backup to ensure the pricing was fair, true, and accurate. He had positional and resource control powers. Steps in the negotiation included elite preparation, identify pain points, and prepare critical information to provide answers to those pain points. Relationship building. We had in-depth relationships with the other parties, but ultimately needed to continue to build on those in advance of the negotiation. Information gathering, gathered insight into concerns on our pricing and reconciliation to be prepared for the sit-down meetings. Information using, I worked with our team to ensure I was prepared for the sit-down meetings and negotiations. Bidding, we presented answers to the Cumming Group and Mortensen questions on our pricing and presented case as to the increase in labor and equipment rates to accommodate the risk of execution on site. Closing the deal included continued follow-ups, both in person and via phone, to ensure the deal was crossing the finish line. And then implementing the agreement, we received and executed the change order necessary to incorporate our modified scope and pricing. Tactics included the trial balloon, which I posed high-level questions throughout the process to kind of gut check us on alignment. I did this at multiple phases of the negotiation. Precedent was utilized as Charlie, the project executive, and I had previously negotiated that he would commit to supporting the increase to our labor and equipment rates to accommodate for the amount of risk we were managing and executing on site. Legitimacy through providing real and factual evidence to support our pricing and reconciliations. And deadlines. We were soon going to exhaust all funds in our current guaranteed max price subcontract agreement without additional funding for the reconciliations and new scope of work that was in progress. Central route of influence included framing. We were providing a large credit amount within our pricing to the client that helped make this negotiation more attractive. And also we'd been executing critical work at a high level on site, so that must continue. We can't allow this negotiation to impact that. Repetition, we continued to meet in person and via phone and negotiate the pricing and increase labor and equipment rates. And I followed up frequently and drove urgency to help this deal be negotiated. The peripheral route of influence included credibility. Our team was well qualified to execute the work in Louisiana. The majority of the client and GC team was not from Louisiana nor experienced working in an area like we were in terms of means, methods, and pricing. And also we'd been on site for many months executing work at a high level. Trust was established between the teams, so continue to work on that. And we've been supporting the Mortensen team since day one on this landmark project. The source attractiveness, I was very friendly with the entire team, also showed continued excitement to be working together on the project and emphasized that our partnering would result in success. And then scarcity, I ensured they were aware of the lack of resources in the area of Louisiana and country who would execute this package like we were. Substantive frames and terms of the agreement included pricing, incorporating the pricing into our package for the reconciliation and added material procurement. Labor and equipment rates, modifications were made throughout our direct and indirect labor hourly billable rates, and we also made an adjustment to our equipment billable rates to adjust from hourly to monthly, removing maintenance and fuel from those rates. Schedule and performance, an agreement to work according to the Mortensen project schedule version noted here, and then procurement approved the release of materials for new future phases 5, 6, 7, and 8 and early invoicing upon delivery and storage. And then pay when paid, and we will receive payment similar to prior invoices. Procedural frames, the agenda, at each round of negotiations, setting an agenda in advance, and then having many face-to-face meetings. Lemoyne and Mortensen performed in the isolated dyad, negotiating through the questions and answers that were posed by the Comeaux group. And in the outcome, we reached and executed an agreement with no adjustments to our pricing, and then incorporated increased labor and modified equipment rates, and then all parties were satisfied. Certainly lessons learned, we had to continue to be prepared, have face-to-face meetings, and then understand the position that the client was taking from Mortensen's perspective.